And there we go. Welcome to Groundwater Talk Live. I am Tom Ballard, the groundwater guy. And today we're going to be talking about online sources for California well logs and other well information. So there's a lot of information out there and a couple different sources multiple sources in California. So we're going to look at those today, and I will drop the links to those pages in the show notes on YouTube, so you can get those there, and I'll see if I can do it on LinkedIn too. I'll have to figure out how to do that. So before we get going, just go ahead and drop a comment in the chat and let me know you're here. Say hi, whatever you want, and that always helps get things going here. And as we go along, if you have any questions, feel free to drop the comments in the chat as well, and we're happy to answer those as I go along. So, all right, so let's get going here. California well data. Why are you interested in the well data? Well, most of the time, if we're doing a well location study, we're actually going to be pulling well logs for the area that we're in to see what kind of production capabilities we're looking at, what type of geology we're looking at, where the aquifers are, how deep we're going to drill. So that's all important data. And if there's existing well logs out there, that's certainly going to help us as well. Now, in the new world of drought executive orders, and we talked about Gavin Newsom's executive order on the drought, we're already seeing different counties, even though the executive order really mainly affects, as far as wells go, agricultural wells. We're seeing that being applied to just every well permit out there, and so looking at well interference. So we're going to need to know, for instance, in Santa Barbara County, and we'll actually do a little short on this a little bit later in the week, but Santa Barbara County, for instance, is requiring a well interference study, and you're going to need to document any wells within 1,000 feet, and you're going to have to calculate interference in those wells, defining interference as 5 feet or more of excessive drawdown in that well, as modeled up from your proposed well. So that's going to be a little challenging. It's going to ask time and cost, and obviously we're going to have to go to our database from the state of California and try to figure out where those wells are. And I'm going to show you how to do that. So not only well location and getting the data we need there, but also some of these drought studies, and I'll show you how we're using that actually, the data that's available to help you do some regional studies too, to drop it into some different programs. So there's a lot of reason to track down this well data, source water protection plans, a lot of reasons to do that. So we're going to dive in and show you that here. So let me get going here, and the first one is, this is probably one of the ones that I use a fair amount. This is the Well Completion Report Map application maintained by the Department of Water Resources in California. And you can see when we bring this up, and this is the screen you'll get. This is the default view when you bring this up. And like I say, I'll drop the links to these in the show notes, so that you'll be able to do that. But here's what this is laid out by section. So section, township, range. Each of these squares is a section, so 1 mile on a side, and the color is actually going to show the density of the wells in that particular section. So so we can go in and we can see. We can actually turn some of these layers on and off, and make those selectable so that we can go in and start looking at this data. So if we wanted to go to a particular place, we just type that in here. For instance, Madera, California, just picking a random Central Valley city. We do that, and that'll take us to Madera. And so we can zoom to Madera, and you can see we got a number of wells in this section. I'm going to close that out here and probably zoom out a little bit so you can see that these sections have no wells in them whatsoever. And so you can also change the base map that's underneath here. We need to, I'm going to close that out so you can see that. So we got a number of base maps here, and this is ESRI stuff. So I usually do put in the topo map underneath, and you can turn off these layers if you want. And that should turn the layers off, but I'm not seeing it there, so something's not working quite right there. But at any rate, we can look at public water supply wells and that as well, production wells. So you can select all these, and now we can dive into the particular section. This will, if we click on the section, it'll bring up the well statistics. So in this section, we have 7 domestic wells, 8 production wells, and 3 public wells. And it gives you the averages on these, so we can see, the average municipal well is 274 feet, minimum 152, maximum 436. And so we can go from here is we can actually bring up the well completion reports. I did want to point out this table down below will actually change to reflect what you have selected. And this table, let me close out of that. This table you can see has has a lot of data on this table. So so we're in this well completion report number. This is the state's numbering system. This is the old number. You'll see that on a lot of well logs. If the owner is assigned it a well number, well location, address, city, county, local permit agency, permit date, permit number, the DWR office, record type, planned use, so we can tell it's a water supply domestic. There are some production wells in here, unknown, irrigation. So you can look at your type there, the driller name, the driller license number. These coordinates here may or may not be the coordinates of the well. A lot of these are just in here in the center of the section. So you have to use a little bit of caution when you're looking at these GPS coordinates, so the latitude and longitude. They've been doing better at actually getting these things. And the next database I'm going to show you actually shows the representations based on the GPS coordinates. So you can tell which ones are just located in the section and which ones actually have a more accurate plotting based on the GPS. Method of determination, and then the accuracy. So you can see these are centroid of section. That's going to just be the center of the section. So these are not going to be terribly accurate with the GPS location. So ground surface elevation. So a lot of these fields aren't going to be filled out. Here's your section, township, and range. This is everything that's in the view. If we zoomed in a little bit, it would just change to that particular section. Baseline meridian. If they have an assessor's parcel number attached to them, you can bring that up. That's helpful in tracking down some of the locations as well. Date work ended, and then total drill depth. That's usually not filled out. Completed depth, top of perforated and bottom of perforated. So that's the screen section. That's going to be useful information. Casing diameter, drilling method, drilling fluids. That sometimes is useful information. Usually you're not going to see static water level, drawdown, testing type, and any pumping test data in here. Well yield. Sometimes here's a 100 gallon per minute well. Other observations. This is the plotting coordinates. So section 7. So yeah. So there's your coordinates there. And then there's a global ID now here. This particular well. Let's go down and find one that's excuse me, allergy season. Well, let's just pick a random one here. This 100 gallon a minute well. This is actually the link to the actual well driller's log. So this will actually bring up the PDF of the well driller's log. So and then you can download it from here. So there's an opportunity to actually just download this, but you can look at these online. So you can see this particular well, the location. This is a little bit older one. This was drilled in 1966, and probably a little bit different than the more current well completion reports, but still a lot of useful information. A lot of good data in here on the geology and lithologies. So that can be helpful if we're looking for data and we're going to locate a well in the area. So in this case, we have, where's our screen interval? They got 110 feet where they first hit water. This does not say. Yeah, this does not say what their screen is. So, I don't know on that one. But you can see that you can bring this up, and so let's go back to this report. If we zoom in a little more, you can see our table down below changes to reflect or we're zooming out. And if we zoom in, then you can see our table below reflects what's actually in our view. And then at this level, we can start to see some of these wells. So you can actually click on this and get this particular well data. And so you can, this is clickable, and you can see that, that same data is just here in a little pop-up here. So there's 2 wells at this location, 1 out of 2. And from here, we can scroll down and get all our data, and we can actually go here. No well driller's log on that. So, and so the other one that's in that area, this one a little bit different. So here's the hyperlink to the well driller's log. And this is bringing up actually all the logs in that particular section. So, 11 South, 17 East, actually in that township. So that's not helping us much there. Let's go back here. If we click on this, here's everything in this particular section. So, and then you can basically click through here and bring up the data for that, and then bring up the drill log from there. So, so this I find useful. You can actually, as you zoom in here, you can go here to options, and you can export this entire table to a CSV file that you can actually open in your spreadsheet. So an Excel spreadsheet or some other type of spreadsheet, you can actually bring that data up and bring it into reports to manipulate it. And that's usually what I do when I'm doing a well location study. I'll bring in all this data and produce a table in the report that lists all the data and their characteristics for my particular area of interest. You can set up a custom area of interest. I believe up here, we go up here, and no, this one doesn't allow us to do this. There are some other ones that allow you to do that, but anyhow, that is that particular one. If we go back to the beginning here, this is what it looks like when you first bring it up. It defaults to Sacramento, and then you just got to type in your address here, and um, and basically this will give you the option to, you can search by well completion report numbers. You can search by some different PLLS land sections. So your so that's the land survey. So section, township, and range you can search by in here. So it's pretty easy to search here. This is probably the one I've used most often. Now there's another one here that I tend to use, and that is this one. This is, you know, why they have multiple different databases and stuff, I don't know. But let's kind of go back to our Madera area. So if we're searching here, and where's my search? Oh, here's our search. So let's go back to Madera, the same area we looked at before, and we can do that. And this brings us into Madera, and this actually has a measuring tool on here where you can measure area and distance. So that can be kind of handy. But this I find a little bit easier to use. If we go into Madera itself and we zoom in there, where is my zoom? There it is. I'm totally missing it there. So over here is our zoom. So we can zoom in here, and now we can easily see. I find this a little easier to use. So you can, once again, you can change the base map. And I like to use the USGS topo maps, but sometimes it's a little hard to see. So we can change it back to, you can actually do imagery. You can do hybrid imagery here that has the road names on it. That can be useful. So we'll look at, we'll do, you know, you can do these. Where's the one we originally had? Let's see. Yeah, this is generally the one that we look at. So here we are in Madera, and here's a number of wells here. This red dot in the middle of the section is going to be basically there's 21 wells that are in the section somewhere that haven't been accurately plotted, and so you can actually bring this up here and show all the related records down here in the table down below. So very similar to the one before. I just like the graphical presentation here a little bit better. This particular well, once again, you can bring up the same data. You can come down here, and we should be able to go to, we can zoom to that one. We can show the related records. So your well completion reports, that one doesn't have one. So let's look at a different one here. Let's zoom back out a bit to some of these other ones. And zoom back out farther. So there's some other ones here. This one, that one does not have a well log either. There's two there. So here's the well log for that particular one. This is just bringing up the section again, so that's not doing us any good. So I was trying to find one that actually had a well log attached to it, and I may be out of luck here. So let me check this one more time here. So yeah, this is bringing up the well log here. So this is the more current type of well log for the state. So you can see it's going to be a multi-page form. Um, this must just be there's some data missing here. So no casing installed. So this is a 200-foot well, and must have just been a test well because they did not complete it here. Um, so that's so anyway, I'm not going to keep searching here and bore you with that, but you can see once again the data is down below. You can actually show selected records. There is, you can select columns. I believe there should be, um, I am not seeing it here, a way to download this, but I'm pretty sure that you can download it here, but I am not seeing it right off the top of my head. And but here's our well completion reports for this area as well. So there's two maps, two databases, slightly different presentation of the data. I am not sure why the state maintains a couple different databases. I like this one a little bit better just because it's the visual is a little bit better, and we can hone in on individual wells. The state is really working towards moving some of these wells that are just showing in the section to they're actually locating those and getting GPS coordinates. So this will become more accurate over time. All right. So the next one up is going to be kind of one of the ones I use. I've just downloaded this whole thing here, but this is going to be basically just this. We are, let me move myself over here. Where are we at here? Sorry about this. That's what happens when you do live. Yeah, there we go. Let me move myself over here so we can do that. And all right, so this basically is just the data dump site. So these are all the well logs, the well completion reports for the state by county. So if we just randomly pick a county here, Shasta County, we can drill down. You can see there's 15,051 files in here. You can download the whole folder from there. So, and I've actually gone through the state and downloaded everything. So I have it all online. And but a lot of times it's just easier to go and use those ArcGIS maps. But if you're looking for everything in the county, for instance, now these are then going to be sorted in here by township and range. So we start with 37 north, 1 west, township 37 north, range 1 west. And if we go in there, now we're going to see this is going to be section 28. And so it's the way these are coded is township 37 north, range 1 west, section 28, and then it's going to have the well completion report number, year, and number. So so these are all going to be in here. It's just basically a data dump, the raw data. So if you click on that, that's going to bring up the well completion report. So there you go. Not much in that one. So let's go back and see if we can find a better one. These are some older ones. They might have a little bit more data on them. So yeah, this is going to, show us our screen intervals and construction and that type of thing as well. This one has a map involved, so it makes it a little easier to track down. So huge variability in the quality of the well completion reports, depending on age, depending on the driller. So you're going to see probably the more recent ones are going to be a little more accurate, although sometimes the drillers get um, uh, a little paucity of information on there. But nevertheless, it's something that is useful. So if you want to have all those on hand, or if you want to just pick sorry about that, the whole county, there you go. And like I say, I will drop these into the show notes so you have links to all these pages. So next up, we have our this is a little bit different set of data, and I find this a little clunky to use and not easy to use. But this is kind of a roll your own type of thing. I like to call it. So this data here is going to allow you to pull digitized data from well reports. So it's obviously not all complete. There are missing records, there's duplicate records in here, but what it's going to allow you to do is be able to pull digitized data and in little different databases. And then you're going to be able to dump that into a program, something like Rockworks, where you can, if you're looking at a region, you can actually go in and take the digitized data. It'll allow you to populate the database of something like Rockworks, and then start constructing cross sections of the area, so you can get a little bit better understanding of what's going on. Like I say, I find this a little clunky to use. You got to download things. You have to match up well completion report numbers, but it is certainly something that is there. Let me show you what some of these things look like. You can see we got a number of different data sets here: well completion reports, well numbers, geologic logs in 3 different formats. Uh, they allow people to pick the different formats: annual material log, borehole information, some more well completion report PDF links, local links, um, reports by county. That's kind of what we were looking at earlier, and then some of the other maps we were looking at. And then you also have the option to do a bulk data download here, so you can download the whole thing. Then there's a template for suggested corrections on this data. Let me show you a little bit what this looks like here, if I can switch over. This is some of the data sets we've downloaded. So you can see here, this is actually in a spreadsheet. You can see the key database field is the well completion report number here. But you can see as we scroll over, we have all your basic data that we saw in some of these other fields that we were looking at. So a legacy number, the office, the county, local permit agency, well location, and record type. So a lot of the same data. This is going to be in a format though that you can put into a database like Rockworks, and then actually use this data. So this is probably this particular data set probably not as useful because it's showing everything here. We may want to look more at something like, for instance, here's well numbers, for instance. So this is a little data set. So this is a subset of the data here. So it's got your key data field and then the state well number. This is I don't have. Yeah, this is another one. Oh, it's not showing up. Okay. Let me fix that. Let me show you borehole information. So you can start to see how this might be useful because we see that we have our, once again, our database key field is the well completion report number. And then we start looking at our borehole information. So the interval start, the interval end, so 0 to 15 feet, 8-inch diameter on that well, and then like this next well is a different well number. 0 to 155 feet is 12.25, and so you can start dumping this in there. There's these records that have the geologic logs for these intervals, and you can start piecing these things together. So if we can go back uh, to what I was showing you here. So I was showing you casing data just there, and this is, you can see that database, but here's our geologic logs, the well numbers. You can start to pull all that together in your own database and then manipulate the data, and this allows you to do that. Like I say, it's a little clunky to use because you got to download the data. You have to kind of tie it all together in a database using the well completion report number as your key field, and then select the data you want to use, put it into something like Rockworks, and then start plotting things up. But if you're going to do like a regional study where you're going to build custom cross sections based on available well data, this is going to save you a huge amount of time. So you can get in here and wallow in the data and take care of that. So I find that to be useful in a limited sense. Like I say, it's kind of clunky and hard to use. You got to get in here and play with it, but there is a lot of data here that is useful if you're doing some of these regional studies. I truly believe that this is going to become more important as we see more of these drought orders coming down, and we're really going to have to look at the effects on different basins, and our well interference studies and our subsidence studies that we're going to be required to do for our permits. And so something like this is going to be important. We're going to have to start building our custom databases for an area, and come back and show that we're not creating any problems that are no-nos under the new regulations, or the the executive order anyway, not regulations for now, but executive order. But we're seeing more of that. So it's going to require more custom data. This is a source of that data. So like I say, it's not a quick and easy thing to do. So it's really designed for a real specific use. Okay, let's go on to our next tool, and this is really a set of tools. This is the Gamma online database. It's maintained by the California State Water Resources Control Board. Number of data sets in here that I find very useful. If you're doing regional studies, this is going to be this particular page is going to be very helpful for you. So let's just scan through real quick and see what we got here. We have our general Gamma groundwater information system, and I will show you what a lot of these look like. We have a trend analysis tool, so we can see what the trends are in 38 different inorganic constituents in some areas based on monitoring well data. We have domestic well water quality tool. So if you're looking at putting in a domestic well, what is the water quality in our area? And is that going to be something you're going to be looking at 6 constituents: nitrate, arsenic, hexchrome, uranium, 1,2,3 trichloropropane, and perchlorate. So not everything is in there, obviously, but it's a good start. So if you're putting in a domestic well and you're curious if you have any of these constituents, this is a tool. We mainly deal with municipal wells, so I'm probably not going to look at that. If you're doing source water protection plans, this Aquifer Risk Map for domestic wells and state small water systems is a useful tool, and I will show you that. The USGS groundwater quality mapping tool is there. It plots water quality data from domestic and public water supply wells that are sampled by the USGS. So only wells that are sampled by the USGS. Here's a useful tool if you're doing some research too, Gamma Groundwater Publications Web Map. So this is just a map showing different publications. I'll show you what that looks like. groundwater vulnerability using relative groundwater age based on tritium helium dating, and so that's one way of looking at the data, and then some specialized ones. Is my property near a 123 trichloropropane impacted water well or a nitrate impacted water well? Salt and nutrient management plans. That's going to be a lot of in the county and some of the other basins. Source water protection web map is not done yet. That's something that's going to be useful if you're going to work on source water protection. And then digitized well completion reports. That's that tool I just showed you. That's going to be the basis for this. So it's going to make it a little bit easier to use here. Like I said, that other one was a little clunky. This is going to make it easier to use. So those two are coming soon. So, okay, so let's go back to the beginning here and let's look at our Gamma groundwater information system. So here's where we start with. So first, what we want to do is select a GIS layer. So let's look at counties, for instance, and let's look at chemicals. So there's a big list of chemicals here we can go through. I am the common ones. The top 10 chemicals are up on top. So yeah, 1, 2, 3, TCP, DBCP, arsenic, hexchrome, nitrate perchlorate, PCE, TDS, TCE, and uranium are really the top 10 chemicals in California. So let's pick arsenic, for instance, and let's dive in here, go to an area where I know there's some arsenic wells, and we will, if I can find yeah, there we go. Let's go up here, up near Robbins. So we'll zoom in here. Now what we're going to do is we can select here, do we want to show all results above the concentration? So if we're interested in knowing all the results, if we want to know above the a specific value or above the MCL, we can select that here. I'm interested in all results. I'm interested in all years, but you can pick 1 year, 3 years, 10 years, and then we can pick the categories. So let's look at all the possible wells here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go over here and we're going to pick our area. So let's just draw an area of interest here, just around here where I know there's some arsenic wells, and there you go. So here within our area, we now have our arsenic wells, and you can see we have a number of wells right around Robbins that have arsenic in them. They're coded based on their concentrations. So if we are, so we can change this out. So if we want to show just the results above the MCL, if we want it above a specific value, so say 10, then we can see those wells. Well, that didn't work real well, did it? All right, let's go back here. Little glitch in the matrix, I guess. So let's dive back to our area here. Fortunately, we still have our area of interest here. All right, so maybe we just want to see all results again. So, and then what we can do is we have our data summary down here. And then we can go into individual wells. And this will give us our data. Maximum arsenic value was 20 in this well, recorded in 1975. There is no more current data on that well. It's a water supply well other. So we're assuming that well is probably shut down. You can view a graph, but we basically have one data point. Um, this will show us um, all the data for that well, so you can get the coordinates and everything. So we can go back here. I think I can go back. All right, so here we are back. And so here's another one. This one has, we can actually view the graph on this one. So you can see the arsenic concentrations over time in this particular well. So this is useful information if you are um, researching an area for a particular contaminant. So we can go in here and we can look at other contaminants as well. And there's a number of different ways you can actually look for screen intervals and put in a bunch of different data. So there we have it. We have wells found in our area of interest, 14 wells. There's 11 wells above the MCL. This is this is an arsenic area that we know about. And that's why I zoomed in here, because I know they do have arsenic in a number of wells up there, and so we can see what our ranges are in our different wells here, and so we can actually select the well from here also, and see this well here. It has our highest arsenic, so if we go in here, we can see that uh, that arsenic was hit in 2003. It hit 72.4, and then in 2017 is the most recent. It went down to 36. So still well above the MCL, and that well is an issue. Um, that is actually a municipal well, so it's a standby well. We can see, so it's certainly something that we that you can, if you're putting wells in this area, you're definitely going to want to look at this data and understand what's going on. And then we can pull up the well logs too and get some idea of what's going on, maybe determine where the arsenic is coming from. I know a little bit more about this area and know there's some specific zones in here that have arsenic that they've screened, and so there's an opportunity to go in and maybe build some wells in this area that at least have reduced arsenic concentration in them by properly designing the well to avoid the arsenic area. So you can start to see how this data comes together to provide you useful information if you're locating a well, designing a well, and things like that. So, all right, so let's go back here. Let's look at our trend analysis tool. Moving along here, I believe that is this one here. Nope. There we go. So here's our trend analysis tool. So we can, let's kind of go back to our, we can zoom in here to, let me move that out of the way. I have a little window here that's getting in the way. So maybe we'll go back to Madera area, get down the Central Valley here. So there's Madera there. Let's zoom in a little farther. And so here is Madera. So we can see the wells here, and we kind of looked at those before, but now we can start looking at individual data on these wells. So this well, bringing that up here. It's working. Sometimes these databases get a little slow at the state, depending on who's hitting on them. But we can see here's our this particular well, no data trends. So unfortunately, we don't have that. Let's look at this one. See if we got any data here. No recent trends. So I'm picking wells that don't have any trends on them. So, well, let's try one more here. I should have gone in actually and identified some wells first that had some data. So I did this earlier and found some data, but this is an abandoned well. So okay, one more time. So I'm picking wells that didn't have any trends. So one or more recent trends. So we can see that our recent trend is nitrate is in this well is decreasing. So let's bring that up here. And you can see here's our plot for nitrate in that particular well. So let's close that out, go back here, and you can actually download the data from here for that well. So that is that particular trend. There's some different filters over here, different layers you can apply. You can overlay the groundwater basins on here. If we zoom back out and see our groundwater basins, and that can be helpful if you're doing a basin study, for instance. All right, so back to our gammas. We're going to skip the domestic water well tool. So let's look at Aquifer Risk Map here. So this is the Aquifer Risk Map. This is there's a number of keys here that we're going to look at. So basically what we have plotted up here, the default view is basically to show state small water systems, your census block group data, which is basically neighborhoods. You can turn on some other data here, water system boundaries, legislative districts, domestic well density, reference boundaries. Not sure what that is. If we turn that off, I'm not seeing what that does. So here's our water quality data though that we have turned on. So we're looking for overall risk here. So we can say, okay, water quality risk by section, all contaminants. So we can drill down in that a little bit. So what we're actually looking at is our domestic well density. So the darker the square is, the more wells in that particular area. Our water quality risk then is red is higher risk, water quality above the MCL, all the way down to gray is no data. So basically, if we take this block here, so we have greater than 10 domestic wells in this area, and it is high risk. We have a small water system here that is Morgan's of California water system, 5 connections, so really a small water system, and we can see the classification here is low. So this can be helpful if you're looking at source water protection. And down here you can go in and you can actually look at individual contaminants if you so choose. So let's say let's look at nitrate in these areas. So let's turn off our domestic wells and then look at arsenic. It's not updating here. Yeah, I'm not getting an update here, so so something's stuck here. But you can play around with that and see. But there's an opportunity to go in and look at nitrate, arsenic, 1,2,3 trichloropropane, hexchrome, and uranium. So some of the top contaminants in California in here individually. For some reason, it is not updating on me. So, but it worked before. So, so I'm not sure about that. All right, so let's look at this one, the gamma. Uh, we looked at aquifer risk. So this is the reports. So we can go in here and we can specify the type of report. So this is great if you're doing research in an area. We can see it's broken out by different basins in this area. So we can change our settings here. So domestic well project counties. So this is for domestic wells, special study areas. So if we wanted to dive into the Bakersfield area, um, here we have a number of studies in this area. So um, this is information on paleo water and California drinking water wells 2015, includes all wells sampled in the area. You can go to the report link here. Um, there's 5 reports that are listed in here. So LLNL, Lawrence Livermore National Laboratories, did a study here of river recharge. You can go to the report there. Nitrate white paper statewide, what was done. There is no link to the study here, so you're going to have to track that down separately. Here is impact recharge and dissolved noble gases and dairy operations within San Joaquin Valley Basin. So there's the report link there. So you can see if you're doing some studies in an area and putting together a well permit report or a well location report, this can be useful information. So there's a number of ways to filter this. And shallow groundwater units. Here's some studies here. And so we can see individual subbasins. There is a link to the report, but it's not a clickable link. So you gotta download that. In this area, there's another report too. So Kern County, yeah. So you can see how this might be very useful when you're doing that. So so as we go back here, I'm not going to show you these other ones. You can explore that on your own. These two will be great when they're done. I don't know exactly when they're planning on having them done, but that is coming soon, they say. So soon is a relative term. All right, so ready to wrap things up here. We've seen a number of different data sources. This is all useful. I use all of these regularly for my well location studies. If you're looking for contaminant studies, if you want to know what's going on, even if you're doing well diagnostics, you want to see if you're putting together a well rehab plan, what contaminants are common in an area or water quality issues. This is all really useful information. So a lot of different data sources here that I use all the time. I have these all on speed dial bookmarked so I can bring them up. So if you're doing these studies, if you're permitting, if you're doing a well location study, these are all really useful sources of information. So I will post the links in the show notes, like I said. So let's move on and wrap this up. I just wanted to point out I have some classes coming up here. So a 1-hour class on the well health check process. The links to these are available on my LinkedIn page. That's going to be June 8th. I usually try to do those every month or so because there's usually a lot of interest in figuring out how to do diagnostics on your well, and this walks you through that whole process. So so that's that. We have a systematic well management class. That's really a 6-hour class, 2 hours a day over 3 days. So we start at 8 o'clock in the morning Pacific time, perfect for water system operators. You can get your contact hours in and then get off and do your duty. That's coming up July 12th through 14th. So this is another one I run fairly regularly because this goes from beginning to end on the wells, and we're looking at optimizing performance at every stage of the well's life. So it's a good class and a lot of information there, a lot of information. So I pack a lot into 6 hours. Okay, so We are available on, this is where we stream to, the Groundwater Guy YouTube channel. All my past shows are there. I got a lot of information there that you might be interested in, so check that out. I'm also available on LinkedIn. You can contact me there. I'm always interested in hearing your thoughts, any comments on any of these videos. I appreciate that as well. Any suggestions for future shows. Some of this data, some of the shows I do are based on suggestions from folks like you. So I appreciate that, and because I really want to know what people want to hear about, and I'll put together a show on it. So if you're interested in being a guest on Groundwater Talk Live, here is the link. It's a book me link. You can go on there, select a time, and we'll get you on the show. If you've got a topic of interest to water system operators, geologists, drillers, engineers, even. Yeah, I'd love to have you on the show. Guests are a lot of fun, so you don't just have to listen to me talk. So come on the show. All right. Lastly, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel and push the little bell if you want to know when we have new videos out. I put out videos every week. The show is on every week, 9 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Central. And all the shows are there on the YouTube channel. I do some shorts every now and then, too, about different topics, comment on things that are in the news as well. So that's all up there. So it's the Groundwater Guy YouTube channel. And I will look forward to seeing you next week